Developing at 6, dramatic video from Wasilla. We have learned more about this car chase. First reported this afternoon, information continues to come into the newsroom.
And Senator Dan Sullivan defends DOGE cuts, the tough questions from some lawmakers about Alaska federal employee firings.
They're afraid they're going to be taken down, they're going to be primaried.
Senator Lisa Murkowski says some Republicans are afraid they're going to be taken down by the president and Elon Musk.
And we're following the latest on a landslide in Ketchikan. We'll have those details.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
We begin with a developing story out of Ketchikan. Alaska's news source has confirmed a landslide happened late this morning.
It happened along the Tongass Highway near the Wolf Point project. And right now we're going to bring in Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry to tell us what she's just learned. Melissa.
Yeah, John, here's what we know. So first of all, thankfully, there were no injuries and there is no property damage. We want to show you a view of the slide area that came down again on the north side of town. You can see the trees, rock, and other debris that came down across the road. The highway is currently closed, and with it closed, the north and south sides of town, they're separated. The mayor of the Ketchikan and Gateway Borough tells us that they are working on a plan with local businesses to help people get around as needed, including getting people to any medical help that they may need. But before they can actually clean up the slide and get that road open, they have to make sure that the area is stable. This slide happened in an area where DOT and other contractors were already working on a hill stabilization project, as the area has been a concern for potential slides in the past. Now, we do want to show you a live look at the current conditions in Ketchikan tonight. The slide is just north of the visibility around that corner from here, but this area has been hit with hard rain this week, about 3 inches in just the past 3 days, now up to nearly 9 inches this month. So very soggy conditions there in Ketchikan. When temperatures warming, you can see no signs of any snow even there on the hillside. I do want to show you what it's looked like there through today. Again, with those temperatures in the 40s, you can see about 1/3 of an inch of rain is what fell today, but again, consistently wet for the past several days. The good news is we are going to start to see slightly drier conditions heading into tomorrow. Still those scattered rain showers in the area, but not seeing those strong winds and not seeing the sheets of rain like we have been seeing the past few days. We're also seeing calmer conditions across South Central. There's just not a whole lot left to this storm. So drier conditions are in store for most of the state, and warmer conditions too. It's 40 in Ketchikan, it's 40 in Anchorage, and it's back to 36 degrees in Fairbanks. Overnight tonight, we are still going to see those temperatures dropping below freezing for much of South Central and portions of Southeast as well. So do be prepared for some icy conditions heading into tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we'll get some sun breaks for our Friday and high temperatures back into the mid-30s. And John and Rebecca will have a closer look at that weekend forecast next.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much. Talking Mount Spur in Anchorage, the municipality has announced that they've raised the emergency activation level. It's now level 2, which Anchorage's municipal manager tells us is in the name of preparation level for a potential Mount Spur eruption. Muni leaders say that level 2 basically means preparing in an organized way, saying that they've identified something that calls for preparation. Anchorage's last level 2 activation was during the January windstorm. In this case, the municipal manager says Mount Spur's likely eruption warrants advanced planning.
This escalation is simply because we know something might come and we're getting ready and because we want to be fully prepared. It isn't because we anticipate that this is going to be something that has a really critical impact on the community. The level of ashfall that is projected and in terms of how much ashfall we can anticipate in Anchorage and whether or not we can anticipate that is relatively minor. That said, there are certainly going to be some impacts in the community if we do experience ashfall.
Now, as Alaska continues to watch Mount Spur, one of the quickest ways to stay updated is by signing up for the free push alerts on Alaska's Weather Source app. And turning now to Capitol coverage, defending DOGE. Senator Dan Sullivan says he may not like all the federal cuts, but he called them necessary.
Johnson Kuhn tells us that was not well received by all lawmakers during his annual address in Juneau.
But is the end goal of a smaller, more efficient federal government that lives within its means necessary at this point in time? Yes.
That was one of Senator Dan Sullivan's ultimate messages during his annual state lawmaker address about cuts made by the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency. But it came with this context.
Do I like every decision that they are making? No, but these are difficult decisions. Job losses are always difficult on families and communities, especially in tight-knit states like ours. And they need to be done humanely and not randomly.
The reality is the Trump administration's actions immediately have been extremely damaging to Alaska.
Sullivan's DOGE defense did not sit well with some Democratic majority members.
What we are going to do to stop the arrogant, far away, with little understanding, knowledge of Alaska, indiscriminate firings of Alaskans working for the federal government.
The number of fired Alaska federal employees applying for unemployment insurance, state leaders told lawmakers last week had jumped from 10 to 138. In his response, Sullivan told lawmakers his office stood ready to help them respond to reversing federal funding concerns where he says they can.
We're making progress on that. We're not going to be batting 1,000. But look, they've been working with us. They've admitted, hey, they're doing this fast. There's going to be mistakes. And so, you know, as your senator, I've committed to work with you guys.
To that point of commitment, the senator referenced what he says is an administration now listening to Alaska lawmakers. As he broke the news, the Interior Department planned to open some ANWR and National Petroleum Reserve leases.
It lifts public land order, PLO 5150. That is the TAPS corridor, and it gives that land back to the state of Alaska.
What now remains to be seen is where all these things go. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
Now, those federal cuts on the Fairbanks North Star Borough mayor's mind today, while Mayor Greer Hopkins says the total number of interior federal positions cut remains unclear. He says that the borough knows about firings at the National Park Service and Fort Wainwright. The mayor says leaders have been working to make sure vacant borough positions are posted for employees who have lost their jobs so they can keep workers and families living in the interior.
You know, meeting with the congressional delegation staff in those same meetings to hear how we can partner with them to transition smoothly and what those timelines are is the ways we're looking at trying to make sure we maintain those jobs here and make ourselves available for people across the country who might be losing their jobs in this current unfortunate process.
Now, like Senator Sullivan today, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson has said that the cuts are important to reduce the size of what the Trump administration has called a bloated government.
Senator Lisa Murkowski says some Republicans are afraid they're going to be taken down.
It may be that Elon Musk has decided he's going to take the next $1 billion that he makes off of Starlink and put it directly against Lisa Murkowski. And you know what? That may happen. But I'm not giving up 1 minute, one opportunity to try to stand up for Alaskans.
Both Trump and Musk have threatened to go after lawmakers during primaries if they go against the administration. Murkowski spoke this week to reporters in Alaska after addressing the Alaska legislature. In one tense moment, Murkowski pushed back when asked why she didn't leave the Republican Party.
No, I can't fix everything, and no, I am not going to be in a position and a place where I just take the strategy that I am going to tear down at every opportunity the President of the United States. That's not constructive to the people of Alaska. I'm going to have to figure out where I can work with them, and I'm going to have to stiffen my spine and take the slings and arrows when people say, why aren't you a better Republican? And if you're not, get out of the party. You know what? You know what? Until Alaskans tell me, Lisa, it's just not working anymore, I am going to give you every last breath that I have.
Murkowski says she works with all presidents to better the lives of Alaskans. And after signing the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education this afternoon, President Donald Trump is directing the Education Secretary to get the ball rolling on the closure. The change will ultimately be carried out by Congress and could leave millions of teachers, families, and students with less resources for their classrooms. Now, the White House press secretary argues it will not be a total department shutdown, but will be greatly minimized. Student loans and Pell Grants are said to still run through the Department of Education. Funding for things like the Disabilities Education Act and Title I for low-income schools will reportedly also not be impacted.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do.
The executive order is expected to draw legal opposition. The Department of Education had just recently announced workforce cuts of nearly 50% this month, which was 1,300 people. And during a press conference after his legislative address, Senator Dan Sullivan also spoke briefly on Trump's executive order signed today, saying he had not yet seen the order, but he did share a stance on the idea behind it.
The Department of Education, since it's been enacted, has spent over $1 trillion, and our secondary school education results have dramatically declined. And I'm not sure federal dictates from Washington that don't understand certain local education imperatives is the best way to approach it.
Sullivan says his main question is, will everything be dismantled, or is the money going to go instead to the states? He also spoke extensively about energy projects in Alaska.
Alaska State Troopers were involved in a car chase in Wasilla this afternoon that eventually ended on the Parks Highway. Witnesses recorded this video. Troopers say it was around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Officers tried to stop a Honda Civic in Palmer they say was speeding. The driver didn't stop until troopers used a tire deflating device. 37-year-old Jenny Alonzo was arrested. She's being held without bail. Still ahead, we check in on the status of the Eklutna Gaming Hall, now open to the public.
We'll see how this new addition is being received and what's next.
And protecting pets from the cold and homeless difficulties, how the SPCA is helping to ensure pet safety.
Are you guys like living in the camp?
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Tonight we're inside a gaming hall that opened in Eklutna.
Now, leaders told our Quinn White, even with lawsuits on the table, customers are on waiting lists as the business booms.
It's been a couple months since it's opened, and staff here at the Chinnan Gaming Hall say they've received a significant amount of community support.
But the biggest feedback that we get is I finally don't have to travel to do this. I don't have to go to the lower 48 to find some place to gamble.
Chinnan General Manager Ryan Walker says the community response to introducing gambling to Alaska has been filled with support.
So we're offering an experience right here locally that they don't have to travel for.
That includes the jackpots, the biggest one to date, more than $26,000.
Well, I usually can tell by the look on their face when they're just searching around.
Slot Ambassador Bonnie Lopez tells me many visitors have never been to a gaming establishment before.
We've had guests from all over the state come in, and they're so excited when they come in, and they're happy to try something new.
And right now, this temporary gaming hall is headed towards something new as the tribe works to construct a 50,000 square foot facility. But what the tribe and supporters consider progress has not come without controversy as a state lawsuit moves forward. Alaska Attorney General Treg Taylor told Alaska's news source at the time the issue was the Eklutna tribe's jurisdiction over its tribal allotment.
Again, the state's in the position of having to defend its primary jurisdiction over native allotments. So really, we had no choice. We had to, despite us wanting to work with the tribe and trying to work with the tribe.
We are here to stay. We are here to be a good community partner. And we feel that the future is bright for everyone involved.
I'm standing in the lot where the permanent building's going to be, and it's expected to open by next fall. Quinn White, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.